A global sweep operation was quietly set in motion and then exploded like a thunderstorm across an October sky. Financial leads, strung together like an invisible thread, suddenly materialized under the glare of investigators' lamps. According to publicly released files in international media, the name at the center of this attention is Chen ZHi, a 38-year-old of Chinese origin, alleged to be involved in a transnational money laundering and fraud network. Multiple sources describe him as not only running the financial conglomerate Green Group, but also as having sufficient clout to influence political financial circuits across Southeast Asia. On October 8, 2025, according to filings from the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York, Chen ZHi was indicted for allegedly running an organization operating in more than 30 countries. All of this remains at the allegation stage, and authorities stress that legal proceedings lie ahead. 6 days after that date, according to a U.S. announcement, the Department of Justice unveiled a round of sanctions that drew global attention, seizing 127,271 units of Bitcoin, estimated at roughly $15 billion, considered one of the largest single seizures of digital assets ever recorded in the United States. The aftershocks spread quickly. Not long after, according to the United Kingdom's announcement, a series of assets in Chen ZHi's name were frozen, with 19 properties in the land of fog. Around the same time, on October 30th, Singapore police carried out a string of searches at locations linked to Chen ZHi and Green Group. Initial reports said total assets temporarily seized exceeded $115 million, including bank accounts, securities, cash, a luxury yacht, 11 supercars, and a collection of rare imported liquors. The rapid sequence of moves choked off, link by link, the complex financial network suspected of having been built by Chen ZHi in a short span of time. All the above facts are still within the scope of legal verification. However, what shocked public opinion was not just the value of the seized assets. As the world struggled to fully process the U.S. strike, fresh information concerning major projects made the picture even more complex. Green Group is said to be developing a mega project named Dream City in the port city of Chinook, Cambodia, with a declared investment of about $16 billion, roughly 35% of Cambodia's 2024 GDP. With only Rin Group inside the ecosystem, many argue that Chen ZHi has all but reached the vital economic arteries of Cambodia. According to revelations cited by the press, the Korea Times once reported that ROP had 52 suspicious transactions, totaling more than $138.5 million passing through branches of Korean banks operating in Cambodia. The South Korean government is said to be considering direct financial sanctions against Chen ZHi and related entities, still at the review and information checking stage.
In the same period, Thailand is also said to have stepped in. According to sources, both the House of Representatives and the Ministry of Justice in Thailand have launched separate probes targeting Chen ZHi and R International. In Cambodia itself, the public was rattled. Images of people lining up at Rin Bank, the pillar bank of Rin Group, to withdraw money appeared across platforms amid fears of a chain collapse effect. Experts warned of a possible financial domino scenario at any time in a banking system considered thin and vulnerable. Amid this tense atmosphere, questions about Chen ZHi's past resurfaced. According to many public documents, Chen ZHi once lived in exile before being appointed a national advisor with high-level influence in Cambodia. He was said to have advised former Prime Minister Hun Sen and his successor, Prime Minister Hun Manet, and to have been granted by the Cambodian monarch the Distinguished Tycoon title, Nia, a special honor usually given to major business leaders for significant contributions. These elements make Chen ZHi's portrait more paradoxical, between the image of an entrepreneur and suspicions of an underground empire capable of shaping cash flows, policy, and the state apparatus. Popular media biographies say Chen ZHi was born in 1987 in Lianjiang, Fujian, China, reportedly only about 1.60 to 1.63 meters tall. With schooling ending at 7th grade, few would have imagined that from such a starting point, he would become one of Southeast Asia's most scrutinized figures in under 2 decades. After dropping out, Chen ZHi left his hometown for Shanghai, working as a network administrator for a small internet cafe. Many sources recount that in this environment he saw his first gold mine in unauthorized game servers, where players top up real money to buy virtual items, small but steady cash flows. Some materials describe him forming a tech-savvy group, allegedly conducting cyber attacks to exploit data and digital assets, creating a covert funding base for subsequent moves. In 2009, when Chinese authorities cracked down hard on cybercriminal organizations, Chen ZHi left the mainland with about 500,000 yuan, nearly $70,000, seeking refuge in Cambodia, as reported in various accounts. At that time, Cambodia was described as lacking robust financial controls and transparency. According to many sources, Chen ZHi gradually learned how to penetrate local power structures through heavy philanthropy and political sponsorships. Patronage ties were built. Some local officials are said to have served as conduits, and influential figures appeared in his circle. In 2014, with a $200,000 investment, he obtained Cambodian citizenship. In 2015, R Group was founded, focusing on high-end real estate. Leveraging accumulated capital and an expanding network of relationships, Chen ZHi drove a pace of development that many describe as dizzying. The Fin Hotel quickly became a meeting spot for elites, from politicians to business people to diplomatic representatives, reportedly a power hub under the veneer of commerce. In 2017, Chen ZHi was appointed advisor to Cambodia's Ministry of the Interior, a role granting access to sensitive documents and plans. In 2018, Rin Bank received its license, becoming a commercial bank within his ecosystem. By 2020, after significant donations to public projects, Chen ZHi was conferred a royal honor. His influence was described by many sources as equivalent to ministerial level. That same year, he expanded into aviation, launching the fourth airline under Recap Group, according to some materials, and inaugurated a luxury shopping center in the capital No Bank and a five-star hotel in Xanaville, a strategic port city. In roughly 10 years, an empire spanning real estate, finance, media, and international relations took shape. And then suspicions grew. According to the indictment and investigative reports cited by the media, the glamorous exterior may be only a facade. Chen ZHi is accused of operating a transnational organization that exploits technology, strategy, and psychology to launder money and conduct large-scale fraud schemes. The notion of scam industrial parks was raised, describing compounds in Cambodia where hundreds are allegedly forced to work under the cover of enticing recruitment ads. Confiscated passports, physical and psychological violence were mentioned in many accounts. Victims were forced to participate in online fraud scripts, reaching targets through social messaging apps. If they failed, they were punished or sold to other groups. Meanwhile, phone farms with thousands of devices allegedly ran more than 76,000 fake social accounts to spread disinformation, lure investments into murky projects, and blast mass messages worldwide. According to figures in the indictment, in 2018, revenue from online fraud activities was estimated at $30 million per day, over $10 billion a year. These figures are alleged and must be examined by the courts during due process. As for assets, a number of lavish investments drew attention. In 2019, some sources say Chen ZHi paid £12 million for a super luxury mansion in North London and £95 million for an office building in the financial center. In the United States, he and associates are said to have continued buying real estate, acquiring private jets and yachts, even owning a rare painting attributed to a famed master. These pricey assets were both image-building symbols and suspected money-laundering tools, illicit flows converted into legitimate on-paper property. All of this is reported by the media and investigative files and still needs verification within legal frameworks. Social media focused especially on Eva, Chen ZHi's wife. According to viral posts, she was once a celebrity on a Chinese platform. Images of an extravagant lifestyle appeared everywhere. An aquarium hundreds of meters long housing sharks in their residence, a 24-karat gold-plated piano worth over $1 million, a $700,000 bed, and private flights between Phnom Penh, London, New York, and Shanghai. At times, posts claimed she flew to London just for dinner, then bought a gold-plated piano as a gift for her daughter. Photos of champagne flutes against glittering cityscapes, security details, and ever-present photographers made many mistake her for a movie star living in Indochina. Eva's true identity remained a mystery until a photo with her husband surfaced. The short-bearded man's profile was compared by netizens and said to be Chen ZHi, the Green Group boss. On Rinop's official website in Cambodia, Chen ZHi is portrayed as a respected entrepreneur, famous philanthropist, and visionary leader bringing Green Group to international standards. Yet independent investigative pieces depict a different, opposing, and contentious picture. All of this is as described by public sources and is not a legal conclusion. According to blogger and commentator Hanga, Chen ZHi embodies a paradox, allegedly the architect of scams while appearing as an honored guest at major charity events. Many international observers hypothesize that a fortune and influence of such magnitude are hard to build without a support system. On October 24, 2025, a BBC Chinese article drew attention with a headline about the mysterious mastermind of a scamming empire and a US $14 billion crypto swindle. The piece stated that Chen ZHi's financial history contains many question marks, unclear seed funding, opaque transactions, and an outsized patronage system. A leaked detail mentioned that in 2019, when applying to open an account on the Isle of Man, Chen ZHi declared he had received $2 million from an unnamed uncle in 2011 to start a real estate company, but provided no evidence of the relationship or the money's origin. These are press reports, not court rulings. Some experts, such as Huang the Thong on Taiwanese commentary programs, went further, asserting that behind Chen ZHi, there may exist an underground network they call the Fujian gang, a term used to describe flexible cross-border structures of people of Fujian origin embedded in associations and diaspora businesses, distinct from traditional gang models. The alleged lines of influence stretch from Tokyo to New York, London to South America, forming branches possibly linked to illicit gambling, human trafficking, narcotics, debt collection, and illegal trade. In each locale, branches are said to hook up with local organizations to operate. Even so, these remain analyses and accusations by commentators and investigators and must be rigorously tested by evidence in court. Within this global tableau, one hypothesis is that Chen ZHi may merely be the legal front man, providing a veneer of legitimacy for money flows. Thus, the U.S. indictment is seen by some observers as the opening salvo of a broader campaign to trace a criminal network that may have politically sensitive connections. If allegations about links to the Fujian gang are proven in court, the story would transcend criminality and touch on geopolitical confrontation. While such hypotheses remain on paper, a curious event occurred. According to reports, Chen ZHi vanished right after the Bitcoin seizure order on October 14, 2025. There have been no arrest reports, no images or videos. Questions arise. Did he escape under some protective cordon, or was he silenced by former protectors to cut loose ends? These are public and media speculations, not officially confirmed. Meanwhile, investigations in multiple countries continue to expand. The US, UK, South Korea, Singapore, and Thailand are said to have set up dedicated task forces sharing cross-border intelligence and targeting shell companies, virtual accounts, digital assets, and financial transit points linked to Chen ZHi. In China, analyses claim certain seaborne human trafficking and drug routes in the South China Sea are allegedly tied to Fujian origin groups exploiting corruption to push illegal migrants to Europe, the Americas, and Australia. In Hong Kong, the July 2019 incident of men in white attacking protesters in Yuen Long is frequently cited as an example of suspected roles played by Fujian-affiliated associations, though concrete attributions still require evidence and due process. In the U.S., several violent incidents around illegal cannabis farms have raised questions about participation by Fujian-speaking groups. In Japan, there are reports of links with the Yakuza to run underground casinos in Tokyo. In Europe, front companies are suspected of laundering money. In South America, investigative features mention certain routes for contraband and wildlife trafficking. All of this remains allegations and commentary, not verdicts. Looking back at Chen ZHi's path, from an unknown young man arriving in Cambodia in 2009 with $70,000 to building an ecosystem of dozens of companies spanning banks, hotels, airlines, and high-level political ties, many observers cautiously conclude that no individual could go that far without a lifting system behind them. The question then is not only who is Chen ZHi, but how many other Chen ZHis exist within similar structures? How many lawful masks are covering opaque cash flows? More importantly, how will international financial, legal, and security institutions adapt in an era when cryptocurrency and social media can blur the boundary between legal and illegal with just a few taps? Wherever Chen ZHi may be now, the investigative net, as described, is operating, step by step, deliberately. Each day may bring new freeze orders, new accounts locked, and new shell companies dismantled. In Cambodia, images of withdrawal lines are thinning as regulators strive to reassure the public. In major financial centers, know your customer procedures and transaction monitoring are reportedly tightening. On social platforms, the race between operators of fake account farms and moderation teams remains intense. And somewhere on a city's outskirts, unmarked buildings are being stripped shelf by shelf, and drained phones lie still in plastic trays. As the story edges toward future trials, what remains for the public is not only the colossal figures or the luxury trappings, but the memory of people forced into the machinery of fraud, victims who lost money, and families pushed into debt. The costly lesson is always to stay alert to promises of impossible returns, cross-check multiple sources before transferring funds, and understand that behind a sugar-coated message may be a person coerced into typing. Thus, this story does not close when the stage lights go dim. It opens at the moment each of us lights a small flame of skepticism so we don't misstep into a cleverly built trap. One day, when court judgments are handed down, history will record this period in a manner consistent with evidence and law. For now, everything remains allegations and ongoing investigations. Piece by piece, the mosaic is being set. Strand by strand, the web is being revealed. Chen ZHi may be silent somewhere, or he may reappear in the dock. What is certain is that the financial world will remember the lesson of transparency and the loopholes that sophisticated networks can exploit. As the mesh tightens, the space for such stories shrinks. And then, whatever the final answer, the public will still want two very simple things: truth and justice.